Welcome to I Still Call It a Lariat. We apologize for a slight delay on this week's episode. Your honorable leader has been dealing with some family issues this week. But with that said, we are a pro wrestling podcast. We are the greatest pro wrestling podcast in the world, and I'm not apologizing for it. I really think that we are. We might not be. We're the okayest wrestling podcast in the world.
We are the best in the world recording right now.
Right now, at this exact moment, yes. That might still be a lie. With me, as always, this week is my boy Hound. Hound Dog, how you doing over there, buddy?
I am doing well. It is good to see your face. I hate that I have said that out loud. I'm glad that you are doing better. I'm not going to put your business out there, but you know that you and your family have been in my prayers. I still hate and love you tremendously, and I am excited to speak to both you and the Legion tonight.
Legion, you heard it here. It's recorded. He said he was happy to see my face. All of this right here. It's gonna be one of those shows, guys. We're already giggling, and this is a terrible opening, by the way. Like I am just fumbling all over this one, but we're glad to have you. As always, we are happy to see or to hear from the Legion, to talk to you guys. And this was kind of an awesome week for NXT and AEW. This was interesting at the very least. We're not going to cover too much of the outside wrestling news. As I said, this episode is going out about a day or two later than it normally would. So most of the wrestling news in the rest of the world, Showtime and I are going to cover on our episode, which you will get later on this week, which is the week of November 11th, if you were wondering. So let's get right into NXT, baby. First, actually, before that, see that? I'm messing up already. I didn't mention our nonprofits. First of all, Tap Cancer Out, a series of jiu-jitsu tournaments to help with many cancer nonprofit organizations, limited to, but not, I see, messing up already. This is what you do to me, Hound. This is what you do. All right, Tap Cancer Out helps out with Alex's Lemonade Stand, American Brain Tumor Association, Isabella Santos Foundation, Little Pink Houses of Hope, Camp Sunshine, Christopher's Haven, the Sidney Kimmel Comprehensive Cancer Center at Johns Hopkins, that's a big one, CureCervicalCancer.org, First Descent, and of course, Tom Coughlin's J Fund.
All right, I've been warming the pipes up. Let's see if I can do it. The J Fund.
Yes. Also, we will be posting the link for, of course, the American Red Cross and their varying disaster relief funds, obviously helping out with the different hurricanes that have been hit between Helene, Milton, and any of the other ones that might be coming through. Hurricane season is not completely over yet, but many of these people are just west coast of Florida. They got done getting beat up by Helene, and then before they could even get started fixing their stuff, Milton came through. Again, I talk about Asheville, North Carolina all the time. It looks like a war zone over there. People, please help out however you can. If it's not monetarily, if you can help out by volunteering, do that as well. However you can help out. And the third one that we'd like to start helping out with, I know we started on Showtime and Mai's episode, and that's with Chris Bay's GoFundMe account. For anyone in the wrestling world who does not know about this one, this is big. I believe it was technically the show right after Bound for Glory. Chris Bay went to hit a springboard cutter, landed improperly, and had to be rushed to the hospital for emergency neck surgery. This is really sad. He's a young man, and secondly, he's a phenomenal performer. It would be sad no matter what, but it's even more sad because he has such a bright future ahead of him. We will be posting both the QR code in the picture for the show and as well as the link in our description below with our other nonprofit organizations. A lot of people have been helping out with this one. This is huge. Please, guys, he is, like I said, a very, very promising up-and-coming professional wrestler. Him and Ace Austin as ABC have been a fun tag team to watch, and it's sad anytime someone in our wrestling community goes down for any reason whatsoever. We never want that for anyone. I don't even want that for Tony Schiavone.
And not only that, folks, if anybody remembers back in the day, they would always say, don't try this at home. And this should let you know anything can happen. You know, we're not guaranteed our next heartbeat, to put it bluntly. And any kind of freak accident can occur. So anybody listening, please don't try any of this at home. Leave it to the professionals, or the people like Steve and I who claim to have been professional, but
we're professional-ish.
We're professional adjacent.
Yes. There's a lot of adjacency in this, in what we do between our wrestling, our podcast. Okay, so real quick, I did want to touch on this with you, Hound. This is the first time that WWE, NXT, and AEW Dynamite have gone head-to-head on a Wednesday in a very long time. This is the November 6th episode of NXT. Again, we have not seen this since the NXT the Wednesday Night Wars, as they were calling them. And I'm just going to throw it out there. NXT showed up and showed out this time. The average overall viewership of NXT was 619,000, which actually represents a 5% increase from their viewership on their normal day the week before. They were up against Game 4 of the World Series that night, though, too. So that's a big thing to note. The show also earned a 0.17 in the key demo, which is a 2% increase from last week. The more interesting fact is that NXT came in higher than Dynamite, which was on its normal night, and averaged a 523,000 total viewers, a 0.16 in the key demo. That's a 17% and a 16% drop respectively. I don't usually like to touch on the numbers too much, but in this case, this was something that I really did want to touch on, because this is very, very important to the business. Is one, that NXT kind of did everything right on the night that they were supposed to. They wouldn't normally have been there. And I know we spoke last week a little bit on about Dynamite. They should have held off on certain things. I think that this week's Dynamite, it wasn't necessarily bad, but it looked like a normal episode of Dynamite, and it knew it was going to have to go to war, and it just, I don't know, it didn't look special. Even last week didn't feel special. And if they had held off some of the stuff, the Bobby Lashley debut, the Shelton versus Swerve match, I think they could have done all of that this week and probably put a better foot forward.
I see what you're getting at. Now, if you remember back to when we recorded last, I said to you, I fully believe that NXT, even though coming to Dynamite's typical normal night, that the viewership was going to be higher for NXT. Honestly, I wouldn't doubt if some of the viewership that's loyal to Dynamite didn't go check it out because they wanted to see. And anybody who's, even if you're a young kid right now watching wrestling with their parents, they've heard about the ECW Arena. You and I, God, how many nights have we spent at the ECW Arena? You know, there was a big nostalgia bump as well. So you get the folks from our age bracket and just below, and we're all at the range where we're having kids, you know, or in my case, my kid's closing in on being a damn senior in high school.
You poor man.
It's wild. How the hell did this happen?
I need to explain it to you.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
Someone should.
When two people love each other very much.
Or
the phone rang and I got startled.
Oh, Jesus.
There's just too much going on now.
They were taking antibiotics during birth control. There's a lot of things.
Yeah, exactly. But the nostalgia bump was there. And people were going to be excited, especially, like, you can get a cheap pop out of you and I for saying, we're going to see the Dudleys. We're going to see FBI. We're going to see Dawn Marie. We're going to see RVD. And seeing RVD, there's a good chance you're going to see RVD do some RVD things that he should not be able to RV do anymore.
Fact.
See what I did there?
I see what you did there. I appreciate it. This is that type of episode, guys. I know I keep saying it, but this is where we're at. We are.
We're having fun.
We're just having fun today, this show. Actually, I had fun watching this NXT, man. This was a good show. So obviously, this is NXT from what is this? November 6th, I said, correct? And it is emanating from the fabled 2300 Arena, the NXT Arena, or I'm sorry, the ECW Arena, if you will. And I'm just gonna say ECW, ECW, ECW. I love the opening of this, melding the ECW opening with the NXT cold open. I really like how they did that. The one thing as far as the visual for the branding that I would have liked them to do, I would have loved it if they recreated like the old ECW entranceway though, with like the barbed wire and the chain link fence and stuff. I think this would have been a time where they could have done something smaller like that, and it would have gotten over huge.
It would have fed the nostalgia.
It would have fed the nostalgia
pretty well.
I think they could have done it where they did the fencing and everything, and just done like the side, the side trons. But I mean, everything still looked cool. You know, the ECW Arena is not what it used to be. It's been built up so much now. It's actually clean. It doesn't. It's not a bingo hall anymore. It doesn't smell like things that it should not smell like. I don't even know the words that I want to use because we can't afford to get canceled. But essentially a hobo's bathroom.
Yeah.
That's what the ECW Arena used to smell like. And for anyone who wants to say I'm bashing the arena, I'm not, because I also went to a lot of shows at Asbury Park Convention Hall for ECW. And you know what? The smell isn't much different.
No, the only difference is you got to smell the wonderful ocean air in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Before I walked in. And then it was a combination of ocean air and hobo bathroom. Oh, and stale old blood from bad metal concerts.
Well, and anybody listening, the ocean air in Asbury Park is beautiful now in New Jersey. Anybody who's out there, if you come to New Jersey now, Asbury Park, absolutely beautiful. I recommend going. Have a great time.
Gentrified.
When we were growing up, you avoided it unless you had to be there.
Yeah, unless there was a rock concert or a wrestling show there was no reason to go to Asbury Park. Those were the two reasons, because the third reason was you got your ass kicked.
Yeah, well, the fourth reason was to buy illicit substances.
Yes,
but not that I know anything about that. Never.
How would you know? By the way, for those just listening to us, we're just shaking our heads right now.
Yeah, of course. We're shaking our heads no.
All right. First match on this lovely card is going to be Lola Vice versus Jada Parker, with Dawn Marie as the special guest referee. This is a hardcore match. I really like this match, actually. I really like this match. I have it written down here that because I still couldn't find it, and we're recording this about 5 days later. I couldn't find who was producing this match, and I want to find out because this match was really good, like really good. And I'm not normally a hardcore match guy, but this match kept it kind of vicious and kind of simple. It was all the things that I want in a match like this. I don't need them to do anything too fancy in a hardcore match. I need them to make it violent, and I need the violence to make sense. And they did all of that.
The takeaway I had, and maybe you'll agree with me on the way I'm about to phrase this. So think back to the TLC wars of the Dudleys, Edge and Christian, and the Hardys. So they had their moments, but this felt like one of those style of matches at the scale it should have been. It hit the notes it needed to. It didn't need a spear off of a 20-foot ladder or anything like that. But everything that it needed to accomplish, it did. And we've mentioned it many times before. You can use the hyper-violence and it can tell a story. It's, the seasoning for that particular dish. And they seasoned it well. I was really impressed with those two ladies. It was a good job. I think they both came out the other side looking real good.
I completely agree with that. Can I just bring up Lola Vice's spinning back fist through a chair at the beginning of the match, though. Just, God damn it. I believe that she might have knocked her out through a chair with a spinning back fist. Like, that was... And the table teases during this match. We're going to take the table out. Oh, no, I'm putting the table back because we don't want to use that table. That's some old school, I'm going to do it, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to do it, I'm not... I think that's what got me, and that's why I want to know who produced this match, because it was really good, and I have a feeling that I'm going to find out, and whoever it is, I'm not going to be real surprised that they're the ones that produced this match.
Oh, you're definitely not going to be surprised. It hit the old. Okay, so when we were younger, like the spots like that, somebody going to grab a table, and you might have the heel going to grab it and then put it back and wave the crowd off, and F you to the crowd and all that stuff. Or you have where the face is going to get and it gets knocked down. Eric gets pushed back under because the face is stopped while that's going on. It was a nice throwback, which was needed, and there it is there, and that's why this is special, because the throwback was the ECW Arena, and we are throwing back to the ECW era. There it is, and that's why the notes hit so perfectly.
It hit perfect. They knew the notes to play.
Yeah.
Though that was the thing, is they played the right song for the right audience. And I will say this. I have this one critique of the match. Just one. And that's when Lola has her in the rear naked choke, sleeper hold, whatever you want to call it. Jada grabs a brick and nails Lola with it, and it explodes. I think they should have ended on that note. It's just a me thing, and it might just be I'm an old man, and I think that could have been enough. But the visual of the brick exploding, I think that was enough to get a 3 count. You didn't need to get a 2 count off that and then have Jada do the drive-by for the win. But all around, if that's my biggest critique, this match was pretty damn good.
Oh yeah, we always talk about letter grades or like percentage grades on that. This was a solid B plus, borderline A, and
I think this might be an A minus.
Yeah, you and I were within 5 points of each other here. I'm saying, and for me, it is the brick thing, because the suspension of disbelief. I can believe, because you and I have both landed on ladders. We've gone through tables. We've taken unprotected chair shots. Okay, they suck. For anybody out there listening,
he's taken more of the chair shots than I have, just so you know.
How dare you accuse me?
You wrestled with Balls Mahoney quite a bit.
Shut your dirty... It might have happened. But, good Lord. No, I never took a Balls chair shot, though. I was too scared.
Didn't Ray?
Yes, Ray walked in there and was like flipping my own switch. And you remember Jags the Clown? He didn't put his hands up. The poor guy.
Didn't someone get yelled at for putting their hands up with balls once?
Listen, may he rest in peace, Mr. John Reckner, but I was not taking that chair shot. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
He's
such a nice man.
Yeah, listen, I've been chokeslammed by 911. I have been I've been beat up by Doink the Clown. I'm not taking a chair shot, but I'm not taking a chair shot for Balls Mahoney. I'm sorry. May John rest in peace. But yeah, it's the match was fantastic. But the suspension of disbelief on the brick. That's really all it is. It should have ended there. You could have even had the referee call it off there. I think had you done that, it would have been like chef's kiss. Yeah,
like if the ref came in and was like, no, we don't need to do any more. She can't continue. She's out cold. Especially since
chef's kiss.
If it wasn't for the fact that the brick exploded, that's the only reason why I'm saying it. If she had just kind of nailed with the brick, I think I would have been like, okay, I could see that. It's just a thud. But literally, they had the brick explode.
Yes.
We go right from that. We get a great backstage segment with Ridge Holland and Ethan Page, which leads to another okay backstage segment between RVD and Jesus, I can't even think of her name right now. Kelani Jordan, thank you. And they go in, and then it leads to Wesley jumping RVD. I'll leave my comment on RVD till we get through the next match, because that's where we're at in the world. Let's see. We get, which leads directly to Javon Evans versus Wes Lee. The commentators open up the match immediately saying that the refs have been instructed to keep the rules a little loose in the style of ECW. I appreciate that the commentators actually went out of their way to say this. This is one of those times where I say it all the time. You have to kind of treat the fans like they don't know what's going on, because some of them really might not know what's going on. And I think this was one of those times. I thought this was going to be the pure wrestling match on the show, though. One of the things ECW doesn't get the credit for is some of their pure wrestling. I mean, you used to have the Malenko Guerrero Classics. You had even later on, you had Lance Storm versus Chris Candido, Lance Storm versus Jerry Lynn, RVD versus Jerry Lynn. Like, you had a lot of pure wrestling at one point or another in ECW to coincide with the hardcore stuff. And I think that's what was kind of the difference with what ECW provided. They really did have a little bit for everybody, and I thought this was going to be that pure wrestling match where we tried to get the Malenko Guerrero type match going on. Instead, I got a brainbuster on the stairs in like a minute and a half. Not a pure wrestling match. I still didn't mind this match. Like, I don't want to act like I'm bashing this match. I just thought it was going to be something different than what it was. I really like Evan's style. With that said, I like him doing his style. I'm really hoping that this doesn't turn into that we get a bunch of copycats of Javon Evans. Like his style works for him specifically. And don't get me wrong, like, some of the stuff could be stolen and copied here and there. But if I see 15 guys doing exactly what Javon Evans are doing, it's gonna kind of get old fast.
I'm really glad you said that, because I hadn't considered that at all. Like, that just wasn't even a thought in my head, because a lot of folks, their styles seem to mesh and kind of play off of each other, or rather, kind of almost one size fits all for a lot of folks. And I could see where people would be tempted to try to one size fits all with Javon Evans, and that's a bad move. For most people cannot do what he does.
No, it's not normal stuff. That's why it's so cool that he can do it.
Yeah.
But like, if the random guy, like, and I'm sorry I'm going to say AEW, but if the random guy on AEW or even the random guy on TNA starts doing this stuff, it's not going to look right. So I love that Evans is doing this. I just hope it doesn't produce a bunch of copycats. There are certain things that you can copycat. His whole style should, like, any young wrestlers out there who are listening to us, if you can do some of his stuff, make sure you time it right so it doesn't look exactly like his stuff. Is I think where it needs to be.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to talk about other shows here, and so this is the thing that I am. This is what I fear about it. And don't get me wrong, I have loved just the spectacle that is like an Ospreay Ricochet match, because it's a spectacle where you're just like, dude, that's unbelievable. But we've said it before. It's not that it's, air quotes, formulaic. It's these guys have to almost wait for things, because they're doing things that humans can't do. Like, I don't know how else to say it other than, like, humans can't do it. They're not normal humans, those guys. And Javon Evans he's approaching that level of being able to do that stuff. And I'm really glad you brought that up, because I don't want to see matches where I see people waiting that extra beat, where maybe only myself and you and Showtime and folks like us are going to catch on to that beat, but it does take away from the experience for us. It's like, how many times have you and I gone out anywhere and you're like, hey man, just, let's just relax and chill. And I'm like, dude, I can't take the shirt off from all the years of doing security. It's like I'm scanning the room at all times, everything else. And it's from 2 decades of that. So same thing there. So I hadn't thought of that, and I'm glad you brought that up. Look at you making me think.
Making points. We actually making interesting points here.
Give it a salient, if you will.
Give it a second. We'll ruin it all soon. And here's where I'm going to ruin it. Can we talk about dyed hair RVD comes out to help Evans win the match? Yeah, that's right. I said it. RVD's hair was dyed jet black. He hasn't had jet black hair his entire career.
Says you.
Ever.
I know.
Not once. Not in the history of Everdom. I've been watching RVD for over 20 years. I'm telling you, not once. Not a single time. Actually, I think we're going on like 30 years, almost 30 years at this point.
It's
not
absurd.
Once, not a single time. His hair was light brown the entirety of his life.
So, that was silly. It definitely was like Stark. I was like, who is this man? Oh,
that's RVD. Oh.
But it was for me, the only, like, I enjoyed the match immensely.
I thought it was a fun match.
But maybe I'm looking at this wrong. Did he screw up that really long distance frog splash at the end? Because did I miss something?
So screw up is a strong word.
Okay.
I don't think he has the hops to do a 5-star frog splash to that distance. That is a far distance, and RVD was able to do it. There's a huge difference. RVD back in the day was also a freak of nature. This was like a 2-star frog splash. But Yep, that's where we're at.
Oh, good Lord.
But like you said, this is a fun match. I thought RVD comes out, he helps Evans win in what I have as just a fun match. This was a B-. I think all around this show, like I said, this show had nostalgia. It was fun. It was everything I wanted it to be. And here comes the part that I really wanted to talk to you about.
Oh,
Our next segment is Ava addressing the Philly crowd. And she speaks about Deadline a little bit and how they're going to do a couple of their gimmick style matches for that. But then we get Robert Stone just bashing the Philly crowd and saying how it's not as good as a New York crowd, not as good as a Boston crowd. And don't get me wrong, you and I have said the same things. But lights go out. And what do we get? You know what we get. We get a gore!
Listen.
And it still looks amazing, by the way.
Well, Rhino doesn't have arms. So, yeah, I mean, he just throws his... Like, I'm sorry, but that
he
poor
just throws
dude,
his elbows at it?
I'm sorry, but I think Rhino is hilarious. I loved his matches. I am convinced his arms are so short, if he got an itch on his face, he'd be doomed. Like, it just...
It's a good thing he has a horn there.
Yeah. I mean, he's probably really stinky because I'm convinced he can't wipe his ass. Like, I'm sorry, man, but
he's got a bidet. He used all that WWE money to get a bidet.
But yeah, look, nobody's ever kicked out of the gore, and we can argue.
No, that was a spear.
Yeah, that was a spear. Listen, we can argue till the cows come home about who has the greatest spear, but there's only one gore.
There is only one gore, and I'll tell you what, man, Rhino's kind of timeless at this point.
I love Rhino so much.
Showtime and I actually had the conversation, like, is there someone who's been more successful coming out of ECW than Rhino, as far as a wrestling career goes? Him and RVD, maybe?
As far as in-ring goes, absolutely
as
not.
As far as in-ring.
Bubba Ray.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
bullies.
I
Okay,
think I think
Bubba Ray
he's
Dudley.
had the best.
The Dudleys in general. But
Yeah.
those four guys, I think, are like the Dudleys, RVD, and Rhino are probably the four greatest in-ring careers to come out of ECW, right? I mean, you could say Ray, but Ray isn't considered an ECW guy as much because he started there, but kind of like sharpened his teeth in WCW and then came to
Yeah.
WWE.
I mean, if we were really gonna like nitpick and go down there, you'd have to say it's Steve Austin.
Yeah,
It's like if
or
we really
Funk or
nitpicked.
something like that. But I mean like true ECW originals. I think are I think we're talking about RVD, Rhino, and the Dudleys, right? I mean, Dudleys are the most decorated tag team in the history of the world.
Yeah, what is the only thing they didn't hold, like the ROH titles, basically.
Yeah, that's it. They've held the ECW titles, the WWE titles, the WCW titles, the NWA titles, the TNA tag team titles, the IWGP heavyweight tag team titles. Yeah, the only thing they have not held are the Ring of Honor tag team titles. And
Wait a minute.
Bubba's held the Ring of Honor 6-man tag titles by himself, or
Yeah.
with not by himself, but you know what I mean, with the Briscoes of all people. So let's combine two of the greatest tag teams ever.
So okay, we have to at that point the only other one in contention, and this is my God. When you talk about rarefied air, because we're really talking about this, we're only talking about the Dudleys and FTR.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah, I'm aware. I mean, the closest thing before that was Road Warriors because they did the AWA, the NWA, and the WWF. And I think Hawk might have held the IWGP titles at one point, but not with Animal. So we go right from that and we get kind of the match everyone's been waiting for. Trick Williams and Bubba Ray Dudley versus Ridge Holland and Ethan Page. I have two notes for my critiques of this match. My bad critiques, I guess. One is not really a bad critique. I know why they did it because it's still technically NXT. It's still WWE. I would rather Bubba came out wearing the tie-dye. I wish he wore the tie-dye. It's just, that's a me thing. If we're going to associate with ECW and not just Bubba Ray Dudley, I would like to have seen him wearing the tie-dye. I wouldn't have mind him putting the tinfoil under his wrist tape to make it look like the Ballard brothers. And the other one is right in the beginning of the match. They set up this tag between Trick and Bubba that, like, Bubba is just staring at Ridge that he would have the gall to call him out like that. And Trick kind of puts his hand out. And I know that this is a minor thing, but here's the thing, guys. The reason why I'm saying this is because little things matter. Trick should have waited for Bubba to put his hand out to tag him. He should have it sounds really weird, but the thing Trick should have done is just done the surprise look, like back and forth between Bubba and Ridge the whole time, and just like, what is he gonna do? Because Bubba, you could even see, was almost annoyed that the hand was there already. Like, he should have been the one to put his hand. And again, this is a minor critique, but it's one of those things where it's a minor thing that it would have made a bigger impact at the end of the day. The only other thing that I have, and it has nothing to do with the match, is I think the commentator should have talked more about Trick wearing his Eagles colors and number on his tights. I know, Hound, you being a diehard Giants fan, you would have hated that, but at the same time, he did play for the Eagles. They're in Philly. He was wearing his old number on his tights. They should have said it.
Well, I mean, first we'll start with 2-8. Woo, Super Bowl. We're clearly going. But
oh, Daniel Jones. Has he been taken out into a field jet?
Tangent, sidebar completely. The New York Giants need to adopt the offensive strategy from kicking and screaming. Just give the ball to the Italian. Bring DeVito back. Oh. But enough with that. So when going back to the whole, I think it is a big deal, and it's unfortunately I don't see this becoming a storyline thing. You and I both come from the time where if we were in a locker room and Bubba Ray walked in, both you and I were going to stand to greet him and walk to him. There's a phrase that one of my uncles said to me when I was younger because I didn't stand up to greet him. And he walked up and he put his hand on my shoulder and did like the uncle grip and basically broke my shoulder.
Yeah,
and he
smacked you in the back of the head a little bit.
I'd say maybe. Listen, man, I came from a family of guineas. Of course I got smacked in the back of the head. But he said, just always remember that Muhammad went to the mountain didn't go to him. And it clicked, and I never let that. It really was, even if it doesn't appear that way to everybody, it's kind of disrespectful. And anybody who knows Bubba Ray, if you disrespect, I mean, Trick doesn't realize, like, he could have gotten beat the hell up, and, like, look, Trick is an amazing athlete, and I'm sure, like, if he puts his hands up, he could. I'm sorry, but okay. Bubba Ray's an older gentleman. He doesn't need his face anymore. He'll eat 8 to get his 1.
Yeah, and if he has to, he'll call his 82 cousins.
He beat up. So this is where you have 47 cousins.
The problem is Bubba also has like 47 cousins. He's an Italian dude from New York. You know.
Oh, listen, it's how dare you compare us as guineas?
Yeah, because we're everybody's just not all alike. It's not all a Bronx tale.
It's listen. I mean, every Italian from North Jersey and New York wants to think that it's a very much of Bronx. So everybody wants to be Tony Soprano. 99% of everybody isn't. And they just walk around going, "Hey, gabagoo." But it's enough with that. Oh my god, I'm having too much fun tonight.
Oh man. So end of the match, we get Jesus Christ. I'm trying to get us back on track, guys. I'm sorry. End of the match, we get a surprise pin from Ridge onto Trick. I liked the surprise pin. And then we get Ethan Page doing his part to get put through a table thanks to my brother, Testify.
It was great to see Devon.
I love Devon Dudley. You could tell Devon is not in the shape he used to be in, though. I mean, obviously he's not in the shape he was in when he was on the gas, but I mean, no, he was never. Yes, he was. I love seeing the end of the match, though. Again, nostalgia in the best way. We get a quick backstage segment, which is just more Young and the Restless with Carmen Petrovich and Adonis, Ashanti the Adonis. The only thing that Adonis has been doing lately that I like is that he says Adonisly, and I don't know why that pops me, but it does. And then we get Ayo! Hey! That's right. The original shooter. Yeah, that's right. I'm just channeling my Andrew Dice Clay at this point.
Jesus Christ.
We said this was going to be like this. We warned them.
No, I'm just realizing how completely Guinea-ified this entire show has been so far.
It's South Philly. It has Rocky written all over. And he didn't do Tony D didn't do any Rocky montage for this.
The only thing missing from this
in Philly.
The only thing missing from us recording right now is me being in a wife beater with a damn fucking
with a gold horn on.
Exactly.
Man!
Hey,
all right,
who's got the cutlets?
So we get Nunzio versus Tony D'Angelo for the North American title. I know he's an older gentleman. I'm still gonna make fun of him. Nunzio looks like Alberto Del Rio from Temu.
He really does. Son of a bitch, I can't unsee it. Oh God! Now I just want Alberto Del Rio to walk to the ring, doing an afachim.
Um, so the match was more comedy than wrestling because it kind of had to be. It was a quick, funny match. But Nunzio definitely deserves a spot on these shows. So I'm kind of not mad about it. Normally, I don't get into comedy matches, but comedy matches have their spot. Like, everybody likes what they like. So at the end of the day, that's kind of where we go with this show is like what you like. But also, if you disagree with what our commentary is on a match, let us know why you like it, because I'd like to know why you like it, because I'd like to gear how we analyze matches towards our audience. Obviously, like, that's a big thing for us. But this match was, listen, I'm going to make fun of this match all I want, but at the end of the day, little Guido Nunzio Maritata is a shooter and a half.
Yeah.
And at one point in his life, it maybe not now because he's a little older and he knows where he lives in the world, but he would have messed up like 80% of most locker rooms.
Yeah. It was not a joke. People thought it was a joke. Shooter.
Wasn't he like a top-ranked state amateur wrestler at one point? Like throughout most of his high school career, like he had, I think, like a judo background too, but he was also an a true amateur wrestler for most of high school. I think he learned from some Japanese dojos and things like that. Nunzio is for real.
Yeah, and you're right. Where the hell is he from? He's not from Jersey, is he?
I don't think Nunzio's from Jersey.
He's East Coast though.
Oh, absolutely he is.
Wait, is he from Boston?
Let's
is
find
he from
out.
Up that way? Because if he's from Jersey, anybody who's listening, and Steve can attest.
No, he is actually New York.
All right,
Howard Beach, Queens, New York.
Okay, so even it's authentic from the time where he was. That's authentic Howard Beach, New York, Guido. But on top of it, from what I remember correctly, he was a standout wrestler because for some reason I had it in my head he was from Jersey. And anybody listening, and Steve can attest to this, Jersey is known for its like high school amateur wrestling. Like it's unbelievable out here.
It really is.
And
so I'm reading right now. He attended Nanuet Senior High School located in Rockland County, New York. Competed in football as part of the school's 1989 team that went undefeated, untied, and unscored upon. And he competed in wrestling for the school. That's kind of something. Anyone who knows football, if you go unscored upon during an entire season, that's kind of saying something.
I mean, that's on some Madden stuff. Like that's something you do, like, when you're nerding out. You put the game on Madden. Easy. Exactly. And listen, I have never done that when I've been the Giants playing the Eagles and been like, I won 187-3. Still scored. Damn it.
Still scored. Let him get too close to that field goal. All right, we go from that. Again, this match was exactly what it should have been. It was a nice, quick, fun match. They didn't prolong everything. And I think at the end of this, you get Tony gets over and Nunzio gets over at the end of this. I think this did exactly what it was supposed to do. We can talk about the comedy of it all we want, but the fact of the matter was, like I said, Nunzio deserved a spot on the show. He is an original. And at one point, he was a bad, bad man.
The only thing that I thought was missing, and maybe it happened and I just didn't catch it, because for anybody listening, like both Steve and I have had actual real life stuff going on. So I was kind of half in, half out watching this, taking care of my daughter and everything else. The only thing that could have made this better was kind of if Nunzio acknowledged the Don.
He did. He gave him the handshake at the end, and they kind of.
No, I meant kiss the ring.
Oh yeah, they didn't do that, but I think that was. I think the reason why is because at the end of the day, it's still two different families. So it'd be like, okay, Nunzio is the boss of this family, D'Angelo is the boss of that family. We get a quick backstage thing here from the week before, after the Lexis King Charlie Dempsey Heritage Cup match, with Regal telling Lexis King that he's proud of him and he's definitely not his father's son. And then he walks over, and you can definitely see that he is halfway guiding the No Quarter Catch crew. But yes, Charlie Dempsey, if he's his father's son. Again, this is great little stuff. This is awesome. I want to see where they keep going with this. I wish so badly. I know he can't, but man, if we could get Dempsey versus Regal for one last hurrah, I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy. It'll never happen.
Yeah, I know precisely what you're saying, and I agree. And I'm smiling because I know if I was Regal, I would go out there and squash my own kid, like against his own will.
Yeah, like I'm gonna force you to fight me.
Yeah.
Like, if you ever, who is it? Josh Wilson, I think it is. Josh Wolf. That's his name. The comedian. There's a bit that he does about every young man wants to fight his father, and they talk about it where like the kid wants to win. As a father, you need to win, because what are you going to do? It's ask him to take out the garbage, and he's like, "Screw you, old man. Put you on the mat again." Like, you can't do that. No, you need to win. Like, even if someone has to call the cops, you have to win that fight.
It's true, and I can say this from personal experience. I had the country song happen. The song called "The Night I Called the Old Man Out." I called my old man out, and he said the line, "Son, this is going to hurt me more than it hurts you," and it was the shortest fight of my life.
There's this. I'm pretty sure my father, though I am in my 40s, and we have never had it, I think my father is still waiting for the day that he has to lace up his sneakers a little tighter. I think he knows it could still very well happen. So we're like 2 shots of Jack Daniels away from the slowest fight you'll ever see in your life, because I don't have it in me anymore. I'm just saying, it's going to take like 45 minutes, and that's just for us to get started.
Oh, good Lord.
All right. I promise we're getting back on track now.
This has been perfect.
This is everything that we wanted. And we get the main event of the evening. The main event. We get a 10-woman tag team match. So it's going to be Cora Jade, Roxanne Perez, and all of Fatal Influence. Not Fatal Attraction, Hound. Fatal Influence.
I didn't call them Fatal Attraction. Did I? Am I that dumb?
No, last week you said you always think that that's their name, and then you realize that it's Fatal Influence. Yes.
Yeah.
And then we get Russian Muscle Mommy.
Overwatch Muscle Mommy. She's Australian.
Overwatch Russian Australian Muscle Mommy. Zarya. Jordan Grace. What's her name again? Kehlani Jordan. That's right. There it is. Julia and Stephanie DeLander. I'm sorry, Stephanie the Cure. Wrong Stephanie. I'm way off today. I'm on the wrong show.
Samsonite was way off.
Way off. So, Jesus Christ. All right. What I have here is women are taking the main event at the ECW Arena is kind of a big deal. And Hound, you're a girl dad.
Yeah.
You know as well as I do. This is huge. I'm all for some razzle frazzle girl power. Let's make this happen. And these women kind of kick the shit out of each other. They went out there and they did their thing. Again, I know I say this each week that I see her, but Fallon Henley is ready for the main roster.
She is.
Jasmine Nix is so good already. I'm excited to see where she goes with this.
Mhm.
If she can keep learning and sitting under the right learning trees, I could see her being something really special within the next, very soon. Very, very soon. And she's young, obviously. So if she gets it, if she hits her stride soon, this is one of those things we could see her in her stride for 10, 15, years and be a main event player. I feel like this match in general, you and I have spoken about this, was to kind of cause confusion at the top of the title scene. Julia looks way more comfortable. I will say this, and I never thought I'd say this. It looked like Roxanne took a little bit to settle into this match. Like for some reason, this was the biggest match of her career somehow, and she had a little bit of dancey feet.
It's fully, she was in the ECW Arena.
She was in. I think that's why. I think it's the ECW Arena just made everyone a little jumpy, if you will. And but she's had so many big matches. I never thought I'd say that she needed to settle in ever.
Yeah, it's honestly, and that's the thing. As much as that can be a critique, to me, it's almost beautiful because she doesn't hide how much of a fan she is. Like, this is a girl who loves pro wrestling, like loves it. And being in the ECW Arena, like I alluded to earlier, the amount of, now we can laugh about the smells and everything else. And yes, when Steve and I were going there, you ran the risk of getting mugged a couple times, but it was worth it. I didn't get stabbed too many times,
or
just a couple.
C.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, it's yes, and at this point, I've got it all the way through Z. We're good. I'm covered. But it 100% was that, and it's almost endearing, and to me, it's kind of beautiful because you see just what this means to her.
Well, and like this is the last arena of this kind, really.
Yeah.
Like you can say Madison Square Garden, obviously Madison Square Garden is the most famous arena in the world. But like you don't have the Dallas Sportatoriums anymore. You don't have those type of places. You don't have the Tampa Bay Armories. You don't have those type of arenas anymore. So the last one that's left is the ECW Arena. I'm gonna say this. I know I've been hard on Cora Jade. I'm gonna continue that run right now. Actually, Cora Jade hit a flipping dive from the top rope to the floor on this match, but outside of that, she hasn't done anything else in any of her matches since she's come back.
I think she's nervous, man. She's been really injury bug bitten, and I understand that you can say that and try to explain it away, but you're billing her at the top, and you're billing her at the top with the best of the best. You can make the argument the 3 best female wrestlers on the planet, and you can really make that argument with Julia, Stephanie, and Roxanne.
You can make the argument that out of these 10 women, you might have 5 of the top 7 women in the world.
Yeah.
Realistically, I mean, and I might be lowballing this, by the way. That 5 might be 7 of the top 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but it's not doing her any favors. I get it. She was over at one point. I don't know if she's still over. And she's, instead of doing a top rope flip, I would have liked to have seen her just do some damn chain wrestling.
You're not going to get that in a 10-person, dude. It's
I'm not,
Jamoke Fest.
But that's the thing is, we needed something where she hits. I need her to hit simple moves. She didn't hit anything in Halloween Havoc either, man. She didn't do anything.
But she's also been the cannon fodder for Roxanne. That's really been her role. So it's, as much as I agree with you where you're going at that, I kind of want to give you don't forget that is the role she's in right now. And yet let's get through the other side of this, because I don't know what's going to happen with Julia, Stephanie, and Roxanne, because that's not all. And now
Zarya now.
And now Zarya. And I mean, and Jordan Grace is always a threat. And The
God damn, this match was a lot. There was a lot of things going on. We get Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson coming out to get involved in this, and in the confusion, Zarya accidentally spears Jordan, but still hits her F5 on Roxanne and gets a clean pin. This adds a lot of confusion. Like, I thought Zarya was going to go after the women's North American title, and it ends up that is not what's happening. It looks like they're setting her up at the top of the mountain as well. Like, are we just looking at this as having too many rock stars is a great problem to have?
I think you're looking a little bit too far ahead. It's not uncommon for somebody to come out, build like kind of the way they're building Zarya, or billing rather, both billing and building, to stick them near the title, have them lose, and that pushes them down where within 6 months they're flirting with the secondary title. And I mean, how many times have we seen it where that begins the run towards the title? I think we're looking at the same thing there. If you didn't have Julia and Stephanie Vaquer to worry about there, I think that's precisely what would happen is, Roxanne would win however she would win, and Zarya would then start because, okay, great. Can you hang with the best of the best? Cool. Can Roxanne carry you through this match? Cool. We got what we needed out of you. Now go really ply your craft.
I see your point. I definitely see your point. And again, I was not mad about this match. I like this match. I like everything about this show, realistically. Again, I think this was, if we're letter grading it, I think this was an A-.
And I gave it a B+.
Yeah, and we're sitting in the same realm. I thought that they did everything that they were supposed to do. Again, they played all the right notes. They went out there and they played their concert, and they played all of their greatest hits, and good for them. Yeah. All around, NXT did the damn thing this week.
Exactly.
I don't think they have match of the week, but if we were awarding a show of the week, I think it was NXT.
I see. I can't make an argument against